What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast, and we've got an episode for you tonight we're going to be learning about a new product or new. It's probably I'd say newer to the guys that are in the South. The people that are up north, they've probably seen it a whole lot sooner than what we have, and but it is going to be one heck of a product or heck of an episode. Remember, it is an interactive podcast, guys. So if you have any questions, just make sure you leave it in the comments and we will get to them. But first off, we got a little business we want to talk about. We've got the sponsor for today's episode is Firefly Marine. Guys, you know, Firefly Marine has navigational lights, the best navigational lights that you can put on your boat. You can, without having to worry about any kind of eye blindness. But that is not what I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about their foul weather gear. I've been fishing for 35, 40 years, and this has been the best foul weather gear that I've had. But the thing is, it is getting cold, guys. Um, and so they have a base layer called the Tep Suit. The Tep Suit is a base layer that will go up underneath your t-shirt and your blue jeans. Last year, it had got down to 18 degrees, and I was out and just wearing that Tep Suit, and I was sweating after about 20 minutes. So, guys, if you are a hunter or a fisherman in the cold, you need to check out the Tep suit and the Mizu suit from Firefly Outdoor Marine. Make sure you use the discount code DECKTALK10 and get your little discount on top of that as well. Because I guarantee you guys, you will not be able to get a set of bibs and a jacket and that base layer Tep suit cheaper than what Firefly has it. But guys, if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
Nah, I'm Pappy J. And fellas, I just want to thank everybody for the prayers and the thoughts and prayers that you guys sent out when my time was off during this family thing that we had. But further ado, I just want to today we are going to honor one of America's greatest people, our military personnel, men and women. But today's honorary featured soldier is Don Fiesel. He was a master sergeant with the Army National Guard from 71 to 85. His MOS was 75 Charlie. If you do not know what that is, it's personal management specialist. But he was attached to the 3rd Infantry, 2nd Armored Medic Division, and he was stationed in Germany, Texas, and Alaska. Imagine being in Alaska, having to run PT, doing push-ups and sit-ups. No, thank you. Thank you, Don Fiesel. Thank you for all that you have done for our country, and we cannot say enough about you, buddy. So we thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. Um, well, with that being said, I mean, let's get right on into it, guys.
Yes, sir.
We we've got Kolt Ringer from Aqua-Vu. Guys, if you don't know what Aqua-Vu is, we are going to go into details about it, but just the kind of little Cliff Notes version of it. It is a live camera that you can put into the water and be able to see the fish that is down below. You can able to control the turning and stuff like that. It is a phenomenal um, little camera. I got to see it and play with it a little bit at iCast, and got to actually meet Colt there at iCast. Our good buddy Jerry Brusso introduced me to him, and with that being said, thank you, Colt, for coming on, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and thank you for the nice tribute to Don and Poppy, to yourself. Thank you for your service. We really appreciate that. It's great
Absolutely.
to be here.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine being up there in Alaska, which I know you're pretty close to it, though. I mean, y'all's weather up there ain't far from Alaskan weather, but I mean,
No, I was laughing when Colin was talking about being cold because I don't think
yeah,
you guys know what cold is yet. If you haven't been up
No,
here yet.
no,
what
no,
I'll tell
sir.
you this, Colt. Our cold, and I hate to say this because it makes us sound like sissies.
Oh,
And
I
Pappy,
am.
correct me if
Well,
I'm wrong.
no, you're just
Our
smart.
cold usually starts in like mid-January till end of February. So we have really about a month and a half, maybe 2 months of where we really got to worry about it being really cold.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, Christmas time last year, we were still wearing shorts and stuff like that. So I mean, it's it really don't get it's not too terribly bad. So
No, no,
uh,
not compared to Minnesota and Alaska and places like that. No,
no.
absolutely not.
So, um, but yeah, that if I came up there and done a little fishing with you, Colt, especially when that you got that hard water, I'd definitely be wearing that Mizu and Tep suit, and I'd just be staying warm and toasty, and I'd probably fall asleep once I got toasty though.
Well, you just have to wait and come in January when we can drive our pickup trucks out to our portable campers that are 70 degrees, and then you can wear your tip suit out and then take it off because you're going to be fishing in your jeans and t-shirts.
Now,
That,
now,
that that's how far we've evolved on the ice is, and that's what's so much fun about bringing people from the south ice fishing because we do
mhm.
a lot of entertaining. I used to guide, and I'm born and
Oh, that's
raised in
fine.
Minnesota, and grew up ice fishing. Grew up using underwater cameras when they first came out 25 years ago, and they're black and white screens. And I think part of, and I tell the story a lot. I have a good buddy who's an old writer. He got on a plane to go to ICAST back in the late 80s, and he got on the plane and he looked and he saw all the Minnesota companies, the Linders, the Rapala guys, the Northland Fish, just pure. He turned around, got off the plane, and said, "If this plane crashes, I'm going to own the fishing industry." And I think part of it is when it's so cold, we have nothing but time to sit and think and tinker and go out on the ice. And that's where all this innovation came from. And that's where this underwater camera shines and where it really was
Yeah,
founded was for ice fishing because it's just a natural setup and it can be really boring just sitting on the ice waiting for you're not casting, you're not moving, you're not trolling, you're not trying to figure out anything. You literally have a hole in the ice, you're dropping something down. Now there's been technology now. Live scope obviously is the
yeah.
king up here even on the ice, but the cameras for 25 years and they still do just entertain, teach, show
Oh,
people. Just it's like watching an aquarium. So I literally that's the cold is I think part of the why a lot of the fishing industry is rooted in a big part of it, a lot of innovation from Minnesota. It's like seriously, we sit in these little tents and you're waiting for a fish to bite. So all you do is think about like maybe I should invent. What if we could do this? You just have nothing but time, and that's how we
Right.
pass our time up here. You have to, and it's a subculture, but there's nothing more fun than bringing people from the south in a pickup truck, driving on a frozen lake that you can
that
go
would be
70
so.
miles on a bass boat and fish.
I mean,
I
and
got, I
that's
got a question. So how does so when we go fishing, we got all of our technology showing us where the fish are and stuff like that, or we beat the banks or fish some ledges. Is that kind of how like ice fishing is? Is that how y'all set up, or how does that kind of work?
Well, it's interesting because you do the same thing and you're learning the fish in the winter they're cold, so they go out to deep water and they're not
Mhm.
as some species bass are you can still catch some nice bass through the ice, but they're not as active. So they're
Right.
staging. You find it really teaches a guy, and you look at the Canadian anglers like Johnson's, Gussie, all these kids that are coming from Minnesota because you have to find the spots on the spot. And
Hmm.
ice fishing, you can't. They've made it a lot easier. I mean, you used to sit and hand drill a hole, and you just sit and wait. Now you've got
Right.
electric drills, you've got live scope. You can point it down the hole, you can kind of find them and chase them. But it's really about understanding what is happening under the surface and finding that exact spot on the spot, finding the highways of how fish are traveling, where they're traveling to, and then it's almost like deer hunting. We were talking a lot about that at the
Mm-hmm.
start. It's you find those routes and those ridges and those drop offs, and where are you going to set up to get lucky and have. That's the biggest difference between ice fishing and fishing in a boat, where you're constantly just covering water. It'd be like probably helicopter hog hunting,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
where you could just drive around and go shoot them for in a hunting analogy. It is
Right.
like being in a bass boat. You're running
Yeah.
around just casting. Ice fishing is like sitting up in a bow stand. Your range is limited. You've got to have that fish or that deer walk and swim right through that path. Put a
Right.
presentation in front of them. Hope they bite.
Yeah.
So
Now, have you as a fisherman, can you uh, has it helped you on the summer part of fishing from ice fishing? Made you a better fisherman, I guess.
I think 100%. And I think visually, just understanding the spots on the spot. We go out in the summer now and try to find ice fishing spots. And
Right.
likewise, I find spots ice fishing that I'm like, I was able to see it with the camera. We dropped stuff down. It's like there's huge boulders here, and there's a brush pile or there's some piece of structure that in a boat, and this kind of goes into the camera, when you're drifting and moving, there's weeds up, you don't get to see and study
Mm-hmm.
underwater like you can ice fishing. So 100%. And then fish behavior, being
Right.
able
Right.
to watch a fish react to a bait, regardless if it's summer or not, just being able to play with different presentations, and just what a rod, even though they're smaller rods and everything, what just a little action will do to a bait and how you can make a bait perform. And I think Gussie's talked about it immensely with his, um, what does he got? Now I can't even, my mind blanking, where he just drops it over and it's the first hang in the minnow, but there's all the different terms for it. It's literally ice fishing, and just knowing that cadence of how to, move the rod action to make that little twitch or minnow twitch. It's kind
Right.
of fascinating to watch how live scope has almost brought that into play, which that was a northern guys have been doing that for years, with just dropping straight vertical or pitching, at deep water fish and trying to
Yeah.
get them to react and bite. So
Yeah.
Well, we got. Speaking of Jerry, he's trying to pull the old incognito with getting on Hunter's YouTube. Uh,
Oh, Jerry.
and he said, when I lived in New Hampshire, we would take our brush pile GPS spots off our boats, install them in a handheld unit, and drill over them.
it's
So,
exactly what's happening up across the north in the winter. Yep.
and to me, I I'm kind of leery, I guess, of just being in the South my whole life. That uh, I mean, walking on ice. I mean, I could skate. I love to do some ice skating and stuff, and I love snow
I'd love
skiing
to
and
see you
stuff.
do some ice skating.
Do what?
I would love to see you do some ice skating.
Oh, I can ice skate.
Because trust
Uh,
me, I'd have all kind of cameras on you.
you need to, because like the only way that I knew how to stop was running into the boards. I mean, I'd just be a wrecking ball out there. I didn't care if I took out 3-year-olds. I was taking them out to stop. So, but no, I actually ended up was pretty decent. I won't say that I was the greatest of all times by no means, but I could handle my own skating. But getting out there, it's something to me with like being over a body water and knowing that all right, it's still that, is this going to hold? I mean, because for y'all to have what 6 to 8 inches of, I mean, that's what y'all would drive a truck over, isn't it? What? Isn't that? I think
Well,
that's what.
some people drive a truck on 6 to 8 inches, and then they're the ones that fall through. You need about 12 to 14.
Well,
That's kind of minimum, but it's but it is. It's impossible to describe the feeling of knowing that where I'm by Lake Minnetonka, which is a famous, probably one of the best Midwestern bass lakes residential. It's right outside of Minneapolis, so
yeah,
we do all our product testing out there. It's clear water, it's beautiful, but there's something about, like, I'll be in my boat and a week later I could be walking on 2 inches of ice out to a fishing spot that I was just in my boat on. And then a couple months later, I can be with a full size pickup truck with a camper. They're called ice castles and Yeti. They're literally campers on ice that go up and down with holes cut in the bottom, 50-inch screen TVs, furnaces, refrigerators, stoves, camper. I mean, literally campers on ice that you set up. You're watching the sunrise. You're out there in the middle of the lake, and you got snowmobiles zipping by and everything. But it's hard to describe. We work with a bunch of fishing guides now that rent have rental houses, and
mm,
they sit there all day in the cameras. They're starting to do their Google ads in Texas and in the South and
yeah,
Tennessee and Louisiana, because they're literally pulling people up. And back in the day when I started, it was a wood house with a bucket and a portable canvas tent. That was a special kind of stupid, we'd call it. There's a small niche of us. But now with all the gear and the warm weather clothing, like, it's so much more comfortable that it's like they said, I've got a couple guides that are doing this. They're doing Google ads and they're drawing people from, Texas, Tennessee, the South, to come up and try it for a weekend. They might have family in town or their work,
yeah.
but it's pulling people, from all over the
That's awesome.
country.
Now, when
So
you're ice fishing, do you, because like here, like we'll throw big baits. How do y'all throw like big spoons or big baits doing ice fishing, or is it strictly more like a smaller bait presentation?
it's a small game. It's like insects coming off the bottom, trying to micro downsize plastics, and it's catching. The most popular fish are panfish, so it's crappie, sunfish, perch, smaller fish.
Right.
Predators like northern pike and walleye will still eat, but it's still. I mean, you're talking spoons, tiny spoons, little piece microplastics, very very small, and then all of a sudden you'll use live bait, a big sucker that's 4 or 5 inches, for a bigger northern. Most of the time, it's just mini fishing rods, smaller reels, smaller baits, and straight kind of dropping and waiting them out.
Yeah. Now,
And it's
Yeah.
amazing.
what would be the benefit for a southern angler to get an Aqua-Vu camera?
Being able to sit, we talked when we were at the beginning talking about being at the front of the deck of the boat, and it's like, how many times have you been on clear water and been like, I wonder what that is.
Mhm.
I wonder what's under the dock. I wonder what that blob is in the brush pile that looks like a bass, but it might be a carp, might be a catfish, might be a striper, fill in the blank.
Right.
If I'm a tournament angler, I'm going out the day before the tournament. Do I want to catch the 5 pounder or know that there's 3 or 4 5 pounders there by seeing them and
Oh
visually
man, yeah,
look
that'd
at
be
spoon
awesome.
and
Yeah.
being able to size up the fish? Um,
Yeah.
Visually, like I talked about ice fishing, just being able to visually, I think we're visually learners, visually see what the bottom, what a piece of structure looks like, what a dock looks like, connect that to what you're seeing on your live scope, and put all the pieces of the puzzle so that you just have this mental picture as you're trying to figure these fish out. It's
Right.
just a tool that can help you give you that visual piece of that's what the brush pile looks like. There's a big stick going off this way, and the fish were sitting way down here, not out here. Or there was a fish hiding under here. I didn't know what it was because my beam on my live scope couldn't see it. But I
Yeah.
dropped it down there and I saw. Best example is go to Springfield, Missouri. I haven't been there in a couple of years. There's a camera in their fish tank. There's 500 fish in that fish tank. They also have a live scope set up next to the fish tank. And we were down there for a show a couple of years ago. I just started pointing people over there. I go, so go count how many fish you see on the TV screen that our cameras projecting, and then count how many you can see on the live scope. It was like 4-1.
Oh,
That,
I can believe it.
for sure, it opens up a door where you think the technology is amazing with live scope, and we absolutely use it. We have to. We know what's happening. Side imaging. We're coming in and saying, here's the visual piece of it. And we don't shoot out. The other big thing that the biggest issue in the South is water clarity. So
Yeah.
that limits how much you can use a camera. So
Yeah, that was one of the questions that I seen was asking about how does it do with murky water, and so and what you just kind of answered it. But we do have another question. Chris has said um, the forward-facing sonar will shoot out like a ping out that some fish that you cannot get within like 50 feet of the fish uh, because they are you. Hold on, there you go, man. You cannot get within 50 feet of the fish because they're starting to get used to that ping and know what that is. Does the Aqua-Vu camera send off anything like that?
No, it's like a camera picture silent. It doesn't shoot as far. So, like going back to the water clarity question, we see it depends on what you want to do and see. But there's no sonar pinging going up. It's all a camera lens that needs light, that needs to reflect and see kind of an object. So it's not shooting and then sending a return and then sending a return. It's shooting a video signal, which there's no emission. It'll actually what we found, certain species are spooked by it. Like if we drop one of our bigger cameras in there and you've got a big weight on it, they might be spooked on it.
Yeah.
Smallmouth and other fish are attracted to it because it's a something in their environment. So what it does is it pulls fish over to it, almost not as in like an attractant, but I'd say largemouth are neutral. I've had largemouth come up and like I said, this is one of our smaller cameras. They've come up and put this whole thing in their mouth, trying to eat it because it's falling, dropping. So it's like, okay, there's an active largemouth. I didn't have hooks on my camera, so if you're a tournament guy, now you just know you got a 5 pound aggressive one. I'd probably be throwing a black and blue jig.
Yeah.
They'd be like, Colt, where'd you catch that one on? I caught it on my Aqua-Vu.
My camera. Yeah. I always say
Now
people,
I could see where that would benefit any angler in particular, but especially in tournament anglers. Instead of them going out there and sore lipping all the fish and everything like that, they can go out there and drop that thing down and look around and see what they got and not sore lip any of them and go back and who knows, the sky's the limit. That's
the
I like it.
The best story we have is Jeff Gustafson winning the Bassmaster Classic on the Tennessee River. He shared it. It's been on. We tried to block it, but we have a camera system that he can hook up to Humminbird, Apex, Lowrance HDS Lives, and Garmin Live Scope. So you can use our camera on those higher ender screens. You need video input, or we have cameras that have 5-inch screens. That's kind of that's
Yeah.
probably the easiest one to use. But he's out practicing on the Tennessee River. He won a tournament on smallmouths there, an elite series what
Well, he
two
didn't move. He stayed
before the class.
within like 50 yards of the whole week, or the 3 days. He stayed in a 50-yard little deal because he found these big old smallmouths.
So he found him in that tournament. He won that tournament. He got the word out. He shows up to practice because I was talking to him because he was having trouble. There was a little technical thing with the camera and the apex. So he's on the water. I'm talking to him. He's hooking it up to go practice. He gets there. There's a local tournament on the river where he had won before. He said there's 30 boats on a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing in a tournament as they're about to start the practice week. So he goes out. He's like, I got to go find, I'm never going to be able to catch 15 fish on the one spot. I'm going to have to find a couple secondary spots because everybody knew where he was going to go. There
Oh
was, it wasn't a secret from the live and everything like that. So he shared and he went. So what happened for his pre-fish, he went to some of these rocky spots where the smallmouth are in the Tennessee River and would graph over him, couldn't see anything. But he knew it looked like the spot where he had won before. It looked similar to, so
yeah,
he dropped his camera down. As he was dropping the camera down on his, I think he had Mega Live at that time. On his Mega Live, he could see the smallies start to rise off the bottom. He got the camera down there, saw that they were smallies that were rising off, and he's watching this is where it's the 1-2 punch. So it's not a
Mm-hmm.
camera or live scope or a camera or Mega Live or a camera or it's a camera and to
Mm-hmm.
put the pieces of the puzzle together.
right.
So he took that, started graphing around driving, knowing that everybody's pre-fishing, everybody's watching them. Found it was either 1 or 2 secondary spots because he only caught 3 fish on the last day or 2 fish on the last day. It was something like
Yeah,
that.
he about blew it.
He didn't need to drop his camera the rest of pre-fish. He dropped his camera for 5 minutes and got the knowledge that he needed to go use the rest of his technology at the other spots, because what he started doing is going to these other hard bottom areas and would throw a bait out. And as soon as he saw what he saw with his camera, he said he caught one. He had to catch a few. You were fishermen, right? So you gotta just set the hook every once in a while.
You got to.
But he knew that he didn't have to drop the camera again because he knew from what he saw before that those fish off the bottom coming up to a bait were probably smallies. So he just ripped the bait out of the way. But he said guys were driving back and forth trying to idle over all these other spots, and there was only one other little school up there, and that's what he credit helping him win the biggest tournament. And we got stories all the way down, like Hunter and Jerry, they're using them in their high school tournaments, pre-fishing scouting. We got Easton Fothergill's a Minnesota high school angler. He's been using cameras up here because just that's what we do when
That's
most
two
of
classic
the
winners.
Another one, did never used it in the classic. I wish I
Right,
was
right.
like, well, yeah, didn't need it at Lake Fork, but it's just that knowledge that it gives you. And we've got, like I said, the high school, and then the non-tournament guys, right? Like, just if you want to learn what's happening, we were talking about a little bit. The easiest way to use a camera now is with spot lock, especially these small cameras, because you can stop on top of something. And I think it was a previous question talking about shooting out. It's like you
Yeah,
could you're gonna. I think, and we're hearing it up here too with our northern fish. They're getting conditioned to the paint.
yeah,
Well, but if I've been on many spots and been out and talked to enough guides too, if you just kind of stop on a good looking spot, piece of structure, spot lock the boat, drop the camera down, you might not be seeing anything on the grass, but fish are moving. They're swimming. They might miss the transducer beam, but you put the camera down, you catch them with your eye. And there's a story. There was a local tournament here on my lake a couple falls ago. I didn't have time to pre-fish. I went down to some docks. I'm like, well, I got a camera. I've got we've got access to them. So I just started walking around public boat docks around, because usually that's when the fish start to pull into the docks. I went post to post to post, nothing, nothing, nothing. I got to one post, there were 5, 6 3-pounders, which in this tournament were the winning fish.
yeah.
Sitting buried behind a couple boats that were left in, but I never would have been able to flip into them at the right angle. I tried going back, I never got it, but it just gave me the confidence. We did end up catching fish on other docks because we knew that there were fish in docks just by walking up and down docks, dropping the cameras. And it's
Mhm.
probably
Well,
one
I
of the
mean,
easiest ways.
and the thing is like for a fisherman, especially a tournament angler, you're wanting to be able to find the pattern with the minimum amount of time to find it, to where you have more time to fish. Um, and in which Jerry and we were talking a couple months ago um, about the forward facing sonar and stuff, and I was telling him like, if you get a bass like within 50 feet from the boat and you're using forward facing sonar, you might as well not even fish for it here on Chickamauga because everybody's using it. They know what that is. They know that something's not right. And so you have to either like see them and then get it off of them and then try to throw and try to fish for them then, or you just got to look farther past than 50 foot. Um, but I mean, just like what you were saying with Gutsy, that he found the fish, then he was able to see what he needed to where, all right, let's see if it's going to be a pattern. If I can find that same kind of bottom and be able to kind of duplicate that over. Well, I mean, that's fishing in a nutshell anyways. I mean, just like a lot of people, I'll like if I'm fishing with them and I'll ask them like, all right, what were you doing? And I ask after they catch a fish and I ask them 5 minutes later, they're like, a lot. I've had people on the boat call that I've said, hey, what were you doing? And they're like, I don't know. So I'm like, well, how can you repeat it? And so, but it just sounds like the camera. I mean, it is a better option because, well, you may not be able to see as far, but like Jerry said, he says, as a matter of fact, fish will swim right up and look into the lens. And that kind of goes with what you were saying about having a smallmouth coming up and actually trying to eat it. But anything that you can do as a fisherman, in my mind, to be able to narrow that window down to being. I got some kind of little fly that keeps on flying around. Sorry, guys. But so
That's why you need to move up to Minnesota. They all freeze in the winter. We don't have bugs.
I,
Another check for tourism up here. No bugs.
I'll say this. We have mosquitoes. But when you go down there where Jerry's at, they've got them pterodactyls that will take you away. They've got some big old mosquitoes down there. I'm telling you.
Them ain't mosquitoes, them are skeeters.
Yeah, those are mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So, but that's one thing that I really liked, especially we were talking earlier and at ICAST, was actually like the first time that I actually got to see it in person. I've seen it on videos and I've seen the videos and stuff that Jerry and Hunter have done, and I really do like that. But it's something else to be able to kind of just see it in person. The videos really don't do it justice for the purpose of what it can do, I think.
It's the camera's been around like for 25 years. I know Jerry and I've talked about fishing with Roland Martin. I looked at old brochures. All these guys had them when they first came out 25 years ago. You know, it was a black and white, big clunky screen. Technology changed going. Like I said, we're making a big play, but I'm seeing a comment that makes me think of another. There's just so many stories since I've had the company since 2019. And one is, I think it's Steven Sturgeon is asking about looking about forage and just understanding what's going on. So in northern Minnesota, we have a bunch of crayfish, and smallies love crayfish, and largies love crayfish. So I don't know how many years the Ned rig has been popular. And I just, like I said, as a fishing guide, I used to use a jig worm. Like I needed the twisty tail. I felt like
Yeah.
you got to have something on. Why is this Ned work? Why is this Ned rig work so well? So
Mhm.
fast forward, we get the camera company. My son's loves fishing. We've got there's a dock in northern Minnesota that we spend some time on in the summers. He started to feed the crayfish, or he started catching crayfish and feeding them to the pet rock bass, which are like smallies and little smallies under the docks. So we're sitting here. Oh, I got cameras, so let's record a bunch of this stuff and let's look at it. And we're playing with the camera on the dock and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, he throws a crayfish out, and it's doing all this, staring back at the crayfish or at the fish, and they just come down and just one fish just goes and boom and pecks the pincher off one, and then pecks the pincher off the other one, and it's literally, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why the Ned rig works so well. It's literally just, or if you watch a crayfish move,
And that makes sense.
when a crayfish darts, they put their pinchers in, and it's just the Ned rig moving,
Yeah.
darting all over the place. I'm like,
That makes sense.
I wish I could have said I invented the Ned rig because of that, but I didn't. But it just clicked, and it's
Yeah.
observing bait fish and watching what they're doing. Another story, Joey Sofentes is he was using the cameras when he won the Angler of the Year. He told me after one of his wins, he went out and fished or was pre-fishing or something. He's getting bites. He brought the camera back to the dock and did what I was kind of explaining earlier, ice fishing, where he was doing some cadence with his plastic that was triggering a bite, and he watched and like really honed in what he was doing on the dock with his presentation. So you could
That's great.
literally just sit like, what does this bait do when I do it? What does this bait do when it sits on the water? Does it stand? I mean, you're seeing you're seeing a ton of underwater fish from the bait companies. We're
Yeah.
getting called all the time. That's what's selling baits, being able to visually see that. We can help do that. Our cameras do that. There's GoPros that can do that too. But being able to have that knowledge, visual knowledge, I think that's what's fun about. I love running. I love talking about cameras. I love fishing, and it's just kind of fun to put the two together and help
Well,
educate.
and the thing is, uh, I tell people all the time, and when people ask us about forward-facing sonar, and we, I tell people that I'm still waiting on because we've heard it with it's a little cheater box. I tell people all the time I'm still waiting on the bass to jump in the boat as soon as it hits the water. I have not had that happen yet, but I tell them, I'm like, I've learned so much of fish habits with having it on, and then I could see you can with the forward facing sonar, you can see the jig, you can see yourself shaking it, but you cannot tell what the jig's really doing. You can see it hopping or doing whatever, right? But I think there's a benefit to being able, just like what you were saying with Joey, that uh, he's able to kind of see that little cadence and whatever that bait was using, whatever bait it was, to kind of see what it's reacting to with him shaking to be able to duplicate it. Because if you're looking on sonar, yeah, it's detailed, but you cannot get that kind of detail out of it to be able to, well, when I done this, the bait done this and they moved away, and it may just be a little bit of something with the wrist or whatever, something small. I can definitely see a benefit. I mean, and that's just not with being northern water. That's all over being able to kind of, you've got technology out there now. Why not use it to be able to help yourself out?
Yeah, and it's funny, Colin, you mentioned that. I've been blessed to travel and fish, Florida, I get to go to Alaska for the first time next week where it's cold, up here in the winter, freezing, just seeing it. And we come across this question too, being, now kind of being lumped in that category as cheater. Oh, it's too much technology. I said, this fishing experiment that we're blessed to be able to do is the learning aspect. It's what you want to make out of it. And if getting up on a sunrise and casting at a bank is what triggers and does it for you, then God bless you. And that's we get to choose to be able to go do that.
Yeah.
But like the learning aspect and the mental, like just take a break from your job and go out on the water and like, what is that fish doing? Why is there a ditch there? What is that stick on? And the technology that's come, and you look at the history of the sport, and we can have all sorts of debates on that. And I guess my biggest message when people ask me that is, let's as a fishing community, like let's stop doing what the politics and all that. Like we got to get together and rally around us, because the infighting, the getting so far over here on the cheater box and over here on using it is just opening up doors for people that don't
Yeah.
want us to be able to enjoy our sport. It's just giving them an inside, like, let's keep it fun. Let's pass it to the next generation so they can pass it to the, you know what I mean? And look at the youth high school fishing tournaments. And we're up here as an organization. It's like, oh, there's too many boats, the pressure. It's like, look at all these kids fishing that want to bass fish. That wasn't around when I was growing up.
Mm-mm.
No,
Yeah,
no.
we was talking about that
Hundreds
earlier.
of kids,
Yeah,
you know,
we
wanting to
may.
fish bass tournaments. We had to play baseball, for crying out loud.
Yeah. So
Well,
we got
for me, it kind of answers the who, what, when, where, and how you question. It answers all those questions for you. And it gives you a different perspective, and like you were saying, you can take that bit of knowledge and learn from it. Whether you catching fish or not, you're still learning from it. It's just like all the cell cameras and the cameras that we have out in the hunting industry. You can take that knowledge and benefit from it. Doesn't mean you're going to kill anything, but you learn patterns and certain things they do and certain things they don't do. So it's a lot of, to me, it's a who, what, when, where factor, and that answers a lot. And Jerry, he's wanting you to discuss the compact strike camera and the captain.
Oh yeah, so the strike view is an inline. I don't have that one out in front of me, but that, I mean, you want to talk about entertainment and watch why we named it strike view. Is it's an inline camera. It's the bass side. It's kind of the musky trolling guys that have it's definitely can do it for bass. Hook and look. If you guys ever follow that channel, Kim Stricker, he's been testing him using it. It's the strike. It's watching fish eat in. It's not. We don't get to watch it in live time because you got to pull that one off, plug it into a computer, and there's this little trade war tariff situation so we're out of stock of them right now, but we'll get them back in. But it's just so much fun to watch fish eat and being able to do it on a camera, and the different ways that bass will. So it's like you're out there casting. It's like you get hit on a crankbait. Like, what did that bass do? Did it just come up behind it and nip it, or did it? I mean, they turn from the side, they come from the top, they go pike. I mean, just it's different every single time. So that's a fun camera that we've got.
Yeah, that's something that I got to look into, because I think it'd be interesting, like, to have it on a crankbait rod and stuff. Because here, especially once it gets cold, we throw a lot of crankbaits, and it'd be interesting.
Is there a better bite than throwing a DT or a deep diving crankbait and just cranking and then it just stops and then you load up and you feel the first two head shakes?
No, but yeah, I totally agree. 'Cause I'll say no all day long. I have one tied on all the time on my deck because I just love that bite. And But old Pappy here, Colt, he'll say a spinner bait. Just a spinner bait, something eating a spinner bait. He's the next Jimmy Houston with the spinner
I don't
bait.
know about that now.
As
I
in,
don't know about
The,
that.
the spinner
uh,
bite up here is coming back. I mean, it never really went away, but so many people are throwing chatterbaits and
oh yeah.
swim
Well,
jigs.
that's
That
the
now
thing.
the spinner bait is that's a fun bite too. I'm going with top
Yeah.
water though.
Yeah.
Give me
Well,
a give me a give me a
I
Zara.
can.
How can you beat a Zara spook? A 5 pounder blowing up on a Zara spook.
No. Yeah, I mean you can. It's just
Maybe a
I
frog.
mean, the only thing that would be better is a 10 pounder blowing up on a zero spook.
yeah.
True, but we don't get 10 pounders up here. But yes, you're right.
So, but yeah,
That's great.
we got the traveling fisherman. He's got a YouTube channel and TikTok. He's another content creator, good buddy of ours. He just left. His wife is a traveling nurse, and they just left Alaska. They're in Missouri now, and he asked, "What part of Alaska are you going to?"
I'm going to Cooper Landing to fish. I
Cooperland.
believe it's
I think he was in. Oh, I want to say, was it Stewart, or it starts with an S?
Seward.
I think so. He'll put the comment in there, and I'm gonna feel bad because I watch his lives all the time, and he'll say where he's at, and I
Yeah,
yeah, he's
yeah. I've got a good buddy from high school whose brother's been a guide up there for 30 years, and I have yet to take him up on his offer of get on a plane and come fish with me. So after 30 years, I'm getting on
taking
a
him up.
plane and
It's
Well,
time.
and one thing that I really liked, not to kind of get off on the Alaska, but I told you we go down some rabbit holes.
Yeah,
But he he got into where he was. They were taking drones and flying the bait out. I think it was like three. He had like a reel that he'd take it out 300 yards, and they just take the drone out and just drop it, and it would just. Uh,
I
he
think there
said,
was one at ICAST for surf fishermen
"Yeah,"
have been
and that was
doing
it's
that.
kind of like what it was. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I have no idea what we're fishing for. I don't care. Somebody's gonna stick a fishing rod in my hand, and hopefully there'll be a salmon or I don't know if we'll go rainbow trout. I don't know what we're doing. People are asking me all sorts of questions. I said I'm just going along for the ride. You know,
yeah.
enjoy
John
some
Page
beautiful
says,
scenery.
"Have you ever came across a bear while fishing?"
I haven't, but this guy's got plenty of good stories that I can't even do justice.
Yeah.
But
So,
no, well, I haven't
we
been there yet.
so I don't know if he was asking you that or if he was asking
The other
Robert
guy.
is the guy that's the traveling fisherman.
Well, I know if he
He
wants to
said
ask
that
somebody about bear stories, he's asked Jason Lesmeister, who I'm going with. I think it's Jason's Guide Service. He's told me story because he's a bear hunting guide too.
yeah.
Of his clients have frozen up on him. They've shot a bear. The second one's charging. Client's supposed to be shooting, and the guy's just freezing up. I mean, I would be that guy. Like, no
Yeah.
way. He's headed down. He's been gutting a bear, and he can hear the teeth clacking of another bear in the dark while they're trying to get the other bear out. I mean, it's just. I'm like, you're talking me out of ever wanting to come bear hunting with you for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh,
I'm
the
not a
traveling
not a
fisherman
fan.
said that he'll be fishing for rainbows and dollies.
Great,
So when you go up there, so
super.
and the thing is he was doing some. He caught some. I don't know. They caught some salmon. I mean, they caught a lot of stuff, but he was doing. He was in some little river compared to where he normally would fish. He was in some little river, and he had a monster trout on that it wouldn't even fit into his net that he had. So,
Well, fun.
but
Well, check our Aqua-Vu pages. Hopefully, I'll throw some pictures up
oh heck yeah, would
after we
definitely
get
will.
back.
Absolutely.
Can does the aqua views with like let's say if you are a dock owner, if you live on the water and you have a dock, can the aqua view mount up like on a pole to where you can have the pole just drop the pole down? Will it mount on a pole mount like that?
The answer is yes. We are in process, and we've tested it. And people have been doing this with our current systems, but they have to modify it to get the signal into their TV. You either running it through. I just talked to a guy down in the Keys yesterday who's running it into uh, Ethernet box and then using the internet and doing it and spliced and did a bunch of stuff with our camera.
Right, right.
We have a product coming that's going to be built where you'll be able to mount a camera at the end of your dock, have the signal come up, have it wirelessly talk to a signal in your TV, in your house, in your cabin, in your even I guess if you wanted it in your boat as you're driving. But yeah, we have pole adapters so that you can mount the camera right onto a pole, and
Yeah,
then have a live. The product's going to be called Dock View. We've got the trademark on it. Should
that
be
is
here
awesome.
by next iCast for sure. But yeah,
Well,
that's a fun one.
yeah. Well, I know one
That'll
thing.
be a fun one.
Jerry and Hunter's coming up here in about a week. I'm excited about getting on the boat and seeing and actually getting to play around with it a little more than what I did at iCast. Um, but I believe that this is going to be a product that I'm going to have to get and play around with, and um, because I mean, people really don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. Really don't realize like how many fish are even around. Uh, Forward facing sonar brought that out too. But I can see. I was watching a TV show, and it was talking about the Bermuda Triangle and stuff like that. And these divers will dive down on these shipwrecks, and all you can see is the shipwreck. But then when they dove down into it, there would be like 100-pound grouper that's up into like the shipwrecks or in the airplane wrecks that you would not even see. And the only reason why you could see it was because they were down there with the camera. And I'm just imagining that's exactly what the Aqua-Vu's doing, just in a smaller fashion.
Correct. Like up here, that's why up here in the weedy lakes, and like I equate it down to the brush piles down south, or a pole or a piece of structure that your sonar can't pick up fish when they're close to the bottom. When they're close to something, it's hard to make them out. But the camera, if you get clear enough water, like I said, you'll
Yeah,
be able to pick out shadows, and then the more you use it, the more you train yourself to kind of do it, the more you're like, then you can start to size fish. And the easiest way to do that, because obviously if they get close, it's like, you hold your fish out and it gets bigger, the closer they swim to the camera, but you start looking at their nose, you start looking at their dimples, you start looking at their girth. And big fish move slow. So if you've got a camera already and your camera, you're trying to size it, and talking to our pros that use them on the tournament cycle, it's like little fish dart. They're scared.
yeah.
And same thing, it's something to learn on your forward facing sonar too. Like big fish are they don't have to move as fast. Like they're the kings, so they're
Steve,
kind of going slower. So
yeah, Steven says I kayak fish, so space is at a premium. What model would you suggest for me to use?
this is our Micro Revolution 5.0 HD. So it's a 5-inch screen, fits in the palm of my hand, um, and it's got this compact reel on the back. So using an underwater camera, the cable and the reel and the bigger camera systems were always the biggest deterrent because of the clunky size and how long it took to hand and manage all this cable in the boat. So we have a patent on this reel that just allows you to kind of drop it
Oh,
down.
Nice.
Now, just on the kayak side, like I mentioned on the spot lock with this little camera, there's some tricks because you're most likely moving in kayaks and most likely fishing. I know that I've seen the kayaks now; they're almost as expensive and have as much technology as some of the bass boats,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
with the graphs and everything. But most people we talk, they're like in 2, 3 shallower water, which they still can do, but you get out a little deeper. It's just making sure that you put some weight onto the bottom of this camera. We have a little clip that's included with it. Um, and then another little trick is that we've got this fin, but if it's moving, you can take some duct tape, and we've got some videos on our YouTube channel and make kind of like a fin above this so it keeps the camera steady if you're drifting a little bit. Because that is the biggest challenge in a kayak is
Yeah.
you don't have spot lock most I mean you might, but you're probably drifting a little bit or moving a little bit. So that's something with that smaller camera. But I mean that's a 5-inch model. This is a 4-inch model. That's a Bass Pro exclusive that they'll have on their shelves here. I don't know how far south but they'd have them online. And like I said, starting price point around $200 for this
Okay.
4-inch screen camera. This one doesn't have the reel, so you just hand wind it, but $350. So to get into and this is what I recommend for anybody who has not used a camera is I'd love to have you go buy our $1,000, big, but those are big ice fishing cameras, big 10-inch screens. They're not really built for the boat. Guys are using them in boats, but if you're just starting out, like you'll be a lot happier with the smaller. Keep it in the glove box, and then just use it. You're dropping it down. You're scouting. You're learning. You're getting in the habit of like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast. You're up in the front of the bass boat deck. How many times has it gone through your head? I wish I could see what's under there. I wish I knew what's under. I want to know what that is. Or
Yeah.
shoot, I just dropped my phone over the side of the boat or at the boat launch. Now, where is it? Or I just snagged a hundred. We've got guys that are using them to get. I just snagged a $17 jig in a brush pile. I want to see. Am I going to be able to get it off, or is it going to get snagged? So anything like useful.
And I mean, it's just I'm gonna have to get me one. That's for sure.
Yep.
Um, because
Yeah, we
I
should hurry up.
I need to have uh, my co-partner that comes out and fishes with me to jump in halves with me, just so because he'll
Oh, here we
probably
go.
Yep.
Here we.
be he works me to death. We when we're at work, and then he wants me to get everything for the boat. So that's just how it is. You got one of
Yep.
them, Colt?
I've got a couple of those. Luckily, I've got the boat, so I got a lot of friends to do these.
Yeah.
Well, see, he's got the boat and I got the camper, so it kind of works out right.
It works out. That's what I laugh because I got into hunting and fishing late, like right out of college, and I was always fishing. I was into fishing, so I had the boat first, got into that, and then I was like, oh man, this shooting ducks is fun. Oh my, I gotta get decoys, I gotta get another
Yeah.
boat, I gotta get waders, I gotta get more guns, and then it's like, holy cow, pheasant hunting's fun, deer hunting's fun, bow hunting's fun. It's like, wait a minute, I got the boat, I'm gonna pheasant hunt with you, I'll take you fishing, you're duck
Uh-huh.
hunting, I'll go duck hunting
That's
with
it.
you. You buy all the yeah, you gotta spread it out.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I do have a question. That is
Yep.
again, it's off the cuff because this is the nicest that Pappy and I have been all week. This is the nicest that we've been to each other because we both love college football. Do you
Oh,
like
here we go.
college football?
I like the fourth quarter college football. Um, we talked about at the beginning. I grew up on ice.
Yeah.
I'm just ecstatic because we have Kirill Kaprizov for 8 more years at $136. But I
Yeah.
I love watch. I'm not a diehard football game. I'll turn the game on and All right, Tennessee's beating Georgia. Great. That looks fun. Who's going to come back? But so
Yeah.
who update me, because I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lick of college football this weekend. Sorry. I know I probably
Well,
offending a lot of people myself.
well, Pappy is an Alabama fan,
Mm.
and so, and
They just
I'm a
beat Georgia,
Vanderbilt
right?
fan. So
Vanderbilt.
this is the clash of Vandy and Alabama. Last year, Vandy got the best of Alabama, so they're going to Tuscaloosa here this week or this next Saturday. And if we
Now,
get back from our trips without us fighting, we done good. So,
now, might I add though, that's the first time in 100 years that they beat Alabama. So, I mean,
but
they're coming to Daddy's house.
so, but
Big rivalries. That's fun.
yeah,
You're also
yeah,
talking to a Minnesota Vikings fan, so football has soured us up here.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
But we're still crazy, or people are still crazy about it. And I was down there. I had season tickets to that. But the Gopher football team now, the Minnesota Gophers are starting to,
yeah, they're doing
they've
pretty good.
built up a
Uh,
decent little program. They've filled the stands that used to not. They used to play inside in that Metrodome. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember that, but
yeah.
we used to have a dome up here because it was so cold when they play their games. But
And what
Yeah.
was it about 10 years ago when the twins the twins dome collapsed, wasn't it?
yeah, that was where they would play their football games. So that's why they ended up building that U.S. Stadium.
Yeah,
That was that made national news. The Twins, I think the Twins were the last Minnesota team to win a big, out of the big three, a big national championship. We have the losingest record in professional sports for any
yeah.
major sporting
And
community. So
I was sad that they really couldn't put a team around Joe Mauer.
yeah,
That
he's a
was
great guy.
yeah,
I've got some close friends who work with the Twins. I've gotten to meet him a couple times. I mean, just not a better person. And it was,
yeah,
yeah, you said it's too bad that he didn't. They couldn't pull anything off. But again, I think that's another reason why we have so many people that like to hunt and fish up here, because we're blessed with a bunch of lakes and woods and everything like that too. And it's like, well, I'm gonna go watch a losing sports team. I might as well go try to catch some bass or shoot some deer or do
yeah.
something fun.
I, they can go and spend that same amount of money that they spend
Right,
on a couple of beers, and they can have a lot of beer then.
right, right.
So
Yeah.
I did get to talk to Gussie during media day. We'll go to the classic every year, and we
Yep.
do interviews and stuff for media day. And I talked to Gussie, which I talk to him every year. I had to ask him if he's a hockey fan. With him being from Canada, he's got to be a hockey fan. Well, he asked where I was from first to ask that question. I told him Nashville, and he started laughing. And I said, "What are you laughing for?" He says, "Because we got a goalie that just loves to shut y'all out." And I said, "Who's that?" And he said, "Hellebeck." And I said, go away. he, he is a big. But he told me, though, that Corey uh, Johnson, what he played minor league hockey. I didn't know that.
I had heard that. Yeah, he was. I think it was like close where he was going to go. Well,
Yeah,
obviously played a little pro hockey, and yeah, I mean ice fishing, hockey, hunting. We're pretty much Canada, Minnesota, so I think
right,
that's
right.
why Gussie and I get along so well too. I mean, we got the same accent and talk a lot of hockey.
Do you say A all the time?
I think I do. I was in Florida walking the beach like 10 years ago, and you start talking to somebody like, are you from Canada? And I was like, oh gosh, it must be bad. Like, what about 6 hours south of it? Pretty much Minnesota. So
Yeah.
Jerry says when you get out on my boat next week, I'm gonna have to check your pockets. When I told him that I was gonna have to get me one.
yeah,
He said he's
keep an
still
eye
waiting
on
on the announcement of the captain camera.
Oh, the Captain camera. Okay, so yeah, that is our newest product. And being in the camera business and being in the fishing business, I've wrecked a lot of cell phones out on the water and the woods and everything. And then we've been working with some of the boat companies about how can we integrate cameras like in the front of the boat and have a rear facing camera. And part of the conversation is safety in bass boats. When you're ripping across the lake, being able to have a camera mounted on the back of the boat and then a screen that can give you a visual like a rear view mirror. And so the Captain is something we
That is
launched at iCast is a completely waterproof, water sealed screen that's got all these cables that lead to it's going to be two cameras that you can mount on the front of your bass boat or the back of your bass boat or your four wheeler or your side by side or your golf cart or your kayak or your I think you get the picture anything that lives outside. And that's why we call it Captain. We were like I said, we were working on a system for boats and being the hunters and fishermen that we are up here, we put it on a four wheeler. It's like this is really great. When I'm backing up to a trailer, I can nose this down and I can get a visual of the trailer hitch. It also records, so it's almost like having
That's my next question.
it's almost like having two GoPros that you can point and have hardwired and actually have a visual of what you're actually recording.
It's interesting.
A lot of trail riding guys. We're actually talking to some of the big tournament organizations, some local ones up here too, about using this as a option because most of the pro tournaments are. You have to record everything these days. The boating accidents, the crazy stuff, the crazy people, the crazy homeowners. It's just, it's not. We're not in a state of where you can just say, "Well, I said this and did this." Oh no, you didn't. You did this, this. It's almost like here's the SD footage. Here's what you said. Here's what you did. Um, we're going to a boat show in Tampa next week, and it's going to be positioned as a boating dash camera. I don't know if you guys followed that Brock Horner situation, the fishing guide with the kid viral video where the ended up, the one guy boarded his boat. Did you guys see that situation?
I don't think so.
I don't think
Okay,
so.
so if you YouTube Brock Horner or Florida fishing guide goes crazy. It's a horrible situation for
Oh
fishermen.
yeah. I seen
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's basically a younger kid in a boat, a guy, and they got in who knows no one knows what happened before, but kid's got his phone on, recorded. Terrible stuff was said. Terrible stuff happened. People went to jail. There's just stuff that's going on in today's world that just it's pull the SD card out. Here's the footage. Limit your insurance for the bass angler side. I mean, just being able to record content going up and down your trailer. Do you need it? No, 100%. I put a boat on a trailer for 30 years, but I don't know. It makes me happy when I can see that I'm not going to go in sideways or off, get kitty wampus and miss my bunk going in the trailer. So now I've got that mounted by my graphs. It's a small screen. And then it's got CarPlay. So now I put my phone, because this is where I've wrecked my phones. That charging port right there, that's where water, dust, dirt, overheating in the sun. Like you go to make a call, your phone's overheated. So now this stays in the glove box. Now I've got access to
We even have
CarPlay.
problems with that with our GoPros when we've got GoPros out that they'll overheat.
Yep. So
Well,
this is
let me be this. Let me be this crazy, the crazy hunter side of it. Now, I love the concept of that. Right? Is there any way that you could Bluetooth the camera to where you could hook the camera on like a tree stand, you saddle hunting, a platform, or whatever, and possibly use that without all the wires and cables?
Not yet. This one's cabled wires. We're playing with the wireless. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the challenge is wherever you put that camera out there's got to have power.
Right.
So if you want to put it in the middle of the woods, it's either got to be rechargeable, solar, and it's going to be a little bit bigger. Doing some. Right now, we found the most consistency with cabled cords,
Okay.
and how we started the project, like I said, was a boating safety project. Like we got
Mm-hmm.
asked to help improve boating safety, and when we were playing with a wireless camera at the front and a wireless camera at the back, all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden something got in the way of the signal and you lose your signal, and now you're going into the dock or you're looking behind you going 70 and you're relying on that camera to give you the picture. If there's any pause, it's going to happen when it's wireless or Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we landed with the wireless. So or with the corded cable, but trying to eliminate those is, and there's some app stuff behind the scenes that we can pull up and down the road that you'd be able to turn on with the software, and just like your Garmin app or your Hummingbird app, you'll be able to view and do stuff on that. Onyx, I don't know, Onyx Hunt is pretty big in the south, isn't it?
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah, I use a lot of the Onyx. Well, matter of fact, I use their app all the time. Anytime I'm hunting, I use the topo maps. I use it for GPS and tracking, all that stuff. Now, what about what could like if could you eliminate all the not all the wires, but maybe just have a single wire from the camera to the monitor
Mm-hmm.
for that?
Yep, you just still need the power, and then you could just wrap these. They're quick connects, so they're only like 2 foot leads from the camera here. So you could just wrap this up. I've got it. It's a complete mess right now, just because I've got it out for display. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you just tight all these, and then you need the wiring harness. So it's like I said, hardwired 12 volt into a cigarette lighter, a battery, a switch, a ignition switch to keep it from overheating, because that's what's happening. I mean, if I took this out,
Right.
left it in the sun, and like the GoPros, it's heat on a battery kind of eliminates it. But yeah, so like
Yeah.
I think we've been at power sports dealers. We just did a state fair up here in Minnesota. We talked to a couple farmers that want to put them on their tractors.
Yeah.
It's literally
I mean,
anything
yeah,
that's
anything like
anything that's outside. Golf carts. I mean, the
yeah,
golf cart community in Florida is a big one. So, but on the bass boat side, it was a super handy tool on my boat all summer. We just launched them. We've got shippable units, so they're available. We called it the CaptainCam.com. So
that's
brand new.
interesting.
They they all
Jerry said Colt will have a video next couple days of Hunter installing the captain's camera on his side by side. And
Great.
guys, with that being said, I do want to suggest that if you're into watching fishing videos of making baits, go to Hunter B Outdoors. Hunter is Jerry's grandson, and he catches some biggins, and he makes some killer baits. So you kind of go through the process. He does videos of him actually like catching fish, and then talking about different sponsors and stuff that he has, and showing the product, and just like what Jerry just said of him actually installing the captain's camera. So go check out Hunter B Outdoors. You will definitely love the videos that is being put out by them. So Steven
And
said be good to set up on a pontoon to line up on a trailer.
the
So
pontoon market, actually, that's the biggest one we're talking to right now. Pontoon, the pontoon owners, the boat builders on the pontoon side is a big
now
one.
I got a question.
Yep.
Could it be possible like let's say if you have it on the back of a boat, could it be possible? And I don't know. I mean, this is just kind of running ideas to where you can have that camera running and the screen is in the truck. Like if you're like, because where I back my boat up underneath my sunroom and stuff like that, to where could it be possible, or is that an idea in the future for to do that?
It's coming. It's you could run the wire all the way, but that app word, that app word, it's software that we're just developing so that yes, the camera will be on the back of the boat. You'll be in the truck with your phone, and you'll be able to Bluetooth as long as the system is on, and you'll be able to see yourself backing into the water, backing into the garage, and being able to do that. But so
Yeah, that's
if you ended up buying one of these, it'll be just like a Hummingbird or Garmin install. You know, once we have, it's not perfect right now. We've got kinks. We wanted to get this into the market first, but it's something that, hey, come check. Here's the updates, and boom, now you can turn on the app. And
yeah.
my product development team would probably kill me, but I would say this should be done in 6 months. You know, the app side. It should have been. It could have been done 6 months ago, but like I said, I need. It hasn't been tested yet, but
Yeah.
it's in the process of being tested, and it's pretty slick.
Yeah.
But just
Well,
just having the, like I said, just having the two cameras, and like Stefan said too about. I laugh because my dad he has a pontoon up north, and he's I think almost 80, and when we're ever going into the lift, somebody's got to run up and look back and then run back because you can't have all the weight at the front of the pontoon. And obviously, I don't miss meals up here, so you go up and then you got to get back so you can get on the lift. But now with that camera there, it's like, all right, yeah, there's the two lifts, there's the trailer, boom.
man, Colt, y'all have some great things that y'all have come out with, and the things that's to come here in the near future. I'm excited about it. I'm glad that I got to meet you at ICAST, um, and I can't wait till Jerry gets up here and get to play around with it, and even a little more. And all that's going to do is just make me want to just go on and buy one. But
We can help you out. We'll get you taken care of.
we but we have had you on for almost an hour and 20 minutes, and we don't want to hold you up. And but Pappy, you got any more questions?
No. I can't wait till you come out for one so I can hang it on my platform in the tree. So I can, instead of taking GoPros and video with my phone, that would be sweet. But
Well, you could.
I'm patient. I'm patient. Just hurry up, please.
Okay. I'll test it this fall in November and see if I can't figure out a good system for you.
All right, sounds good. Sounds
Uh,
good.
but
No, thank.
Pappy,
That's just,
we got one last question for you, Colt. And Pappy, you
Well,
want
hang
to?
on. Colt was saying something.
Oh,
no, go ahead with the question. I can.
Okay. Well, Colt, we asked this question with all our guests, and um, so if you had one person that you could fish with, whether they be with us or not, who would it be and why?
That's a great question. I've heard it asked before. I've thought a lot about it. I would probably go back, and I had a good friend. His dad passed away. His name was Stacy Barber, and I was teaching. He's not a famous fisherman, but he was a buddy's dad, and he grew up in North Carolina. He taught me everything I needed to know about bass fishing up here in Minnesota. And I was a teacher. He was retired. We would meet in the mornings, and he was a Southern hardhead. Uh, when we were growing up, we were scared to death of him. You know what I mean? He was
Yeah.
he was a redneck,
Yeah.
and I was fortunate enough to get to spend, a couple summers fishing with him every morning. We're just starting to get going. Unfortunately, the good Lord took him a little sooner than we'd all like down here. But I'd say I'd go back and fish with him again. I mean, there's a lot of famous people and
Oh
this and
yeah.
that, but I love fishing with my kids and stuff like that, so I still get to do that. But that Stacy Barber would be, I'd go back and love to. And he had so many famous lines, but it go back to the top water. We'd be out there. We'd always start on top in the morning. We'd go down the bank, throw top, and he's like, hey, we want to go out and catch him on the jig, but he's like, I'd still rather catch one on top than 10 down below.
Yeah. Well, I tell
So
you,
here's those.
when Pappy and I get out on the boat and we're doing some top water fishing, and I swing and I miss on one on a frog. Some odd reason, Pappy starts singing just a swinging and a missing.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many good stories and laughs, and yeah, it's great. It was great. So
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, Colt, can you tell us if people want to start following you on social media, how can people follow you?
the easiest is Aqua-Vu. I think go to Instagram, Facebook, and type in Aqua-Vu. We've got channels for all. Instagram is probably where we're doing the most interactive training, teaching videos for Aqua-Vu, and we'll there's captain stuff up there that I would say Aqua-Vu on Instagram, and then we have it's amazing what these kids can do. And I'll close with that because I got to meet Hunter and Jerry a couple of years ago at a conference in Florida. What a respectful young man, Jerry. Thank you for taking these kids, all the boat captains that commit all this time for this next generation that is creating this crazy surge in bass fishing. It's great to see. Love it.
And
Thank you to
he
everybody who does that.
and the thing is with Jerry is when he's talking about it, he's very passionate about getting these kids out on the water, and that's you cannot take that away from anybody when somebody's that passionate that he'd rather just if it was for him to fish or to see some to teach kids, he's going to be teaching them kids how to fish. Um, that's one thing that I love about him, um, and I mean, and Hunter's got one heck of a role model to follow, and it's not going to be too terribly much longer, and Hunter's going to be taller than him though. So,
Right. Right.
uh, but
No, that's great.
but Cole, thank you again so much. Next week, guys, let me. Next week we're gonna have Bass Pro Tour angler Edwin Evers coming on. So we might talk about some pecans, or we might talk about bass. We don't know where this conversation is going to go, but it's going to go somewhere. And so make sure you tune in. And again, I'm going to put the links to Aqua-Vu in the description. So make sure you go click on them links, make it easy for y'all to go and start following them and get you a camera, because again, the more technology you can put in your hands to be able to learn and be able to utilize it to figure out what fish are doing. I guarantee you fish are doing things that you do not realize that you're doing until you can actually see what they are doing. The Aqua-Vu is the one of the best ways that, in my opinion, to where you can see fish and see what they're doing and be able to get on that pattern as quick as possible, guys. So, Colt, thank you again for coming on,
Yeah,
brother.
thank you.
We'll have to have you come back on again, especially when you get some of that. If you get that wireless or whatever, when you get a new product, just holler at us and we'll have you back on here again. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And all I got to say, Colt, is let's go Preds. So,
Well, that's perfect you brought that up because I have my wild bait caster right here that I've just been saving. So we'll see how Krill does this year. So I'll just finish it with we'll see you on the ice.
We'll see
Love
you
the
all.
fun. Love it.
All right, guys. Y'all have a blessed one.